Greetings, salutations, respect, and love, everyone. I'm Scott. Welcome to the Prog Corner on a cold and gray Monday morning in Ohio. Man, I'm excited. I'm going to do something a little bit different here today. In the 21 months I've been doing the Prog Corner, this is probably the coolest thing that's happened to me since putting the Prog Corner together and going live on YouTube. About a week ago, I was contacted by a dude in a band that I've always loved, a band that I've talked about quite a bit here, and he said he had something for me, man. And, my fingers were crossed. I was hoping it was what I was thinking it was gonna be. And the guy's name is Simon Gannett, and his band is Mirththander, man. And he sent me this here 1976 For You the Old Woman, their one and only album. Oh man, this thing is so amazing. This, like I'm saying in the title of the video, is probably the greatest album you've never heard. Yeah, let's talk about the band a little bit. They were formed in 1973 in Clark, New Jersey, and they dropped their one and only album, For You, the Old Woman, on their own label. It was an independent release, and they never dropped anything else. That was it, man. Those 5 songs, and they were done. But let's go through who Mirththander was, talk a little bit about the record, and why I'm so excited to have this sucker in my collection, man. Like I said, they were formed in 1973, right at the height of, the prog rock golden era. And these guys clearly listened to a ton of Yes, but also a bunch of Gentle Giant. Who's in the band? Well, I told you Simon Gannett was the dude that sent me the album. Thank you so much, Simon, man. He played keyboards and sung backup vocals. John Vislacki III was the lead singer and played trumpet. James Miller, Jimmy Miller played bass, played that Rickenbacker. Sounds so great. Robert Arase, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Robert, let me know. And they had the twin guitar attacks of Richard Excelante, R.I.P. We just lost him a couple years ago. Look at that cat, man. That dude should have been a superstar, man. If that guy doesn't look like a rock and roll star, I don't know who does. And the actual brains behind the whole thing, Alexander Romanelli. He had the musical skill because apparently most of these songs came right from the brain of Alexander Romanelli. Just awesome. So good, man. So they dropped this album in 76. What's funny is their very first gig was played at the some place in New Jersey. Well, now it's the Union County Art Center, where they have Prog stock is actually there now. So it's a very famous place. They need a plaque on the wall in that place commemorating it as the spot of Mirthrander's first concert. They did a few more shows, but honestly, by the time the record was out, Richard Excelante was pretty much done with the band. He'd show up for live gigs, but there's one song on the album he didn't even play on because it was the last thing they recorded, and he was more into wanting to get into heavier stuff like metal stuff and whatnot. Cat's just awesome, but so that was kind of their first phase. Very short-lived. They pressed 1,000 copies of that record and then disappeared. You figured you'd never hear about these guys ever again, but that was not going to be the case because in 1992, Greg Walker discovers the band and decides he wants to re-release it. And they come up with, finally in 92, it comes out on CD with a brand new album cover. They remixed it a little bit. I guess John did a couple new vocals, and they changed the running order. So the song sequence was changed a little bit. But so this was the CD copy. And that got them, a little bit of notoriety. This is where I discovered them. I probably found that CD in like 94, 95. When I was like starting to try to get into prog again, I knew there were some bands like Spock's Beard and the Flower Kings and stuff like that going on. So imagine my surprise when I realized there was a bunch of American prog bands I'd never heard of, like Mirthrander, man, like Yezda Urfa, like Cathedral, like Fire Ballet and Babylon. It just goes on and on and on. But the absolute best of all of them was Mirthrander, man. And then finally, later on, around 2006, they decide, It's time for some reunion shows. They played the Prog House in New Jersey in '06, Baja Prog down there in Mexico, and then they played Rossfest. So '06 was a big year for them. They even made up some T-shirts for the events, I guess. And yeah, Simon sent me one, man. How cool is that? It's the album cover, and then on the back, Mirththander, 1976 to 2006. So that's pretty cool. The next year they played the Prog House again in '07. In 2008 they did play Prog Day in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And then their final gig was 2009, the Progressive Rock Series at the North Star Bar in Philly. And that was it. They're gone. We'll never hear from them again, man. It's so sad. They're so good. So who do they sound like? Well, I said they obviously have a lot of Yes and Gentle Giant in their system. I kind of think like if Starcastle would have been listening to more Gentle Giant, they maybe would sound a little bit like this. But trust me, there's plenty of Genesis influence in here. They cite PFM as an influence. They also cite Happy the Man, which is interesting because that record had just come out earlier in '76. So they must have gotten their hands on a copy real early. And I definitely hear Happy the Man in this music. It's so weird because I hear Happy the Man. I hear Yes de Urfa. I hear Cathedral. How did these people hear this music? I mean, I have no idea. It's like almost osmosis, man, but it's just incredible. One of the things that makes this band really cool is that John Wisłocki III also plays trumpet. So when Simon's playing like brass patches on his keyboard, when John's doing the trumpet, it sounds amazing. Jimmy Miller on bass, he actually plays flute on this album a little bit. So there is some really cool instrumentation going on here. But primarily the lead instruments are that double guitar attack of Romanelli and Excelante and Simon's keyboard playing. And man, John Wisłocki's voice, I just love it. It's high, it's weird, it's theatrical. It kind of makes me think of like what... kind of like Ange, maybe like the French stuff, that over-the-top, real dramatic kind of stuff. But I just love it. There's only 5 songs on here. And like I said, the running order change. You've got the big epic piece, 4/4, which is almost 15 minutes long. The next longest song is For You, the Old Woman, which actually starts the CD, but it's like track 4 on the album. Conversation of Personality Giver, cool song. I love that track, really cool. Last song they recorded on the album, so Richard Excelante's not on there. Light of a Candle is 4.5 minutes, maybe the most normal sounding of all these, but it's prog through and through. Number 6 is a 5-minute instrumental that is just fabulous. A lot of trumpet and keyboards and really cool guitar figures to keep your brain busy. And then, like I said, there's For You, the Old Woman is 8 minutes long, the title track. This thing's just crazy, man. I love this album. It's, like I said, 5 songs, only 38 minutes long, but it's just outstanding. But yeah, like I said, after the album came out, this fantastic piece of vinyl the boys sent me, man. After this came out, well, Richard Excelante was pretty much out of the band by the time this came out. And then the wheels just kind of fell off after that. John goes on and joins a band called Spy, which gets signed to CBS, puts one album out and disappears. I guess the drummer from Spy helped out on some of those reunion shows. Simon went on to join a band called Oliver's Twist and worked with Richie Sambora. So there's, his brush with greatness right there. Al, the songwriter for most of this stuff, has been quiet, but I guess like 20 years after this came out, he tried to do another thing called Luna, which never saw the light of day. And also talking about those reunion shows. Apparently, with both Richard Excelante and Al not really being 100% into the reunions, they got the services of Alan Benjamin from Advent. Great band, Advent, to play guitars on those reunion shows. There's actually some videos on YouTube of those shows. I was just watching the Baja Prog thing that they did back then, and it was really cool. I love this band. I really do. So what would I score this, man? How do I be objective in any way, shape, or form? when the keyboard player for the band sends me this super limited edition, extremely rare. Yeah, I went on Discogs and I priced it out. And there are no copies available in the US. I found one in Australia for like $400, and there's one in Belgium for like $500. But this thing is in mint condition, man. It's still shrink wrapped. So he tells me that, watch the levels of the bass like I'm going to be playing it. I'm not going to be cracking that open, man. I got the CD if I want to listen to it. A card came with the vinyl, and I'm going to read it to you guys right now. Peace. I love it, man. Hey, Scott, thank you so much for the support you have shown to the under the radar prog bands, including Mirththander. We very much appreciate all you're doing, and we'll continue watching and learning. Yeah, that's what we do. We sincerely hope you enjoy this token of our appreciation. All the best, and keep up the good work, Simon Gannett, Mirththander. Yeah, wow, what a great day in the Prog Corner. I am so happy. I'm so excited to finally have one of my holy grail records in my possession. And like I said at the onset, it's definitely one of the best records you've never heard. Well, if you've heard it, congratulations. You are definitely a prog connoisseur, and you're my kind of peeps. But we are here to educate, we are here to recommend, and I can't recommend this one high enough. So what is my score? I'm gonna rate it. Yeah, why not, man? What's my score for Mirththander? For you, the old woman? Well, some of the production's a little off. I mean, it was self-produced in 1976 with limited funds, but I don't think that takes away anything from it. I'm giving this sucker a 9.5 out of 10. Like I said, it very well might be the best album you've never heard. And yeah, you heard it here first, man. You guys know I love Mirththander and Yezda Urfa and Cathedral and all those weird Ameriprog bands from the 70s. It's kind of a passion for me. It's weird. I'm an Ameriprog fetishist, right? I guess that's what I am. Anyway, tomorrow we are going to be reviewing the brand new album from Pattern Seeking Animals, their fourth album on Inside Out Records that drops October 27th. It's called Spooky Action from a Distance. And if you like Spock's beard, there's no reason in the world why you wouldn't love Pattern Seeking Animals. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be ranking the albums from the one and only The Great Steely Dan. So that's going to be a whole lot of fun. Stick around for all that. Anyway, also tomorrow, just want to, plug the Prog Report a little bit. Roy invited me to do the Wheel of Prog, so we spun the wheel on the Yes discography. That's coming out tomorrow on the Prog Report. It's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely catch that. Anyway, peace in the Middle East, my brothers and sisters. We need it now more than ever. Obviously, we've always needed it. We need it here. This is our test as humans, man. If ever there was a time where God might be testing us, it might be right here in 2023. Are we going to pass the test? Are we going to show love? Are we going to show tolerance? Are we going to show acceptance? Or are we just going to be violent animals? I think we could do the former, but unfortunately we slip into the latter just a little bit too often. Yes, free Tibet, absolutely. And God save the king. Save that king. Save that king. Save King Chucky the second or the third or whatever he is, man. Save him. That sucker could use your saving. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.